So good morning, all of you. So yesterday we have completed the basic theory of Indian foreign policy, right? So I hope you remember all the basic details that we have discussed. So apart from the basic details, you also have to write some basic content. Whatever I have showed you, I will share the link or the PDF. You can make notes or whatever is comfortable for you. But the application or understanding of the overall theme is more important. Okay, so basic confusion like what is strategic autonomy, what is neighborhood, or what is the scope of foreign policy. These things should not be confused. Having said that, it is always good to have some basic idea on what are the issues in present context. So from today the class will be more of like a bit of writing also, because whatever you will write, it will be more like starting of the classes. Okay, the first and most important thing we'll start with is foreign policy 2022. So you can take the notes. I will explain each and everything that you write, but most of the things have already been covered. Okay, so foreign policy 2022. The first and most important thing is challenges of foreign policy. What are the challenges of foreign policy? So in 2022, we have seen from 1947 evolution of foreign policy, what is the scope, dimensions, Panchashil, basic principles, and all those things. So after applying all these things, still what are the most obvious foreign policy issues we have in 2022? And the first one is failure of global institutions. The first point is failure of global institutions. What are the global institutions? Example, UN, all UN bodies. UN basically, UN can be technically a failure. Next is WTO. Is WTO a global body? Yes. Apart from that, all UN bodies, technically WHO, FAO, all these are UN bodies more or less. Okay. So the theme here is these are not in India's control. The first most problem of Indian foreign policy is failure of global institutions. When failure of global institutions happen, okay, it leads to a phenomena called as deglobalization. Below that you can write as deglobalization. Now, what is the definition of globalization? You have a rough idea, right? What is globalization? You have an idea. You have a general idea of what is globalization. You have heard it so many times. So what can be the meaning of globalization? In your own understanding, see, we are here to learn. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is globalization. That is globalism. Try a meaning of globalization. Sorry? Sustainable development all over the world is globalization. Okay. Development as a whole. That is globalization. Anyone else? Online. See, you need to understand the meanings. Without the meaning, everything will be like story. Okay, forget about globalization. What is opposite to globalization? Deglobalization. Okay. Before globalization, what used to exist? So the basic concept starts with everybody for himself, right? Like, globalization technically means free movement of people, goods, and services. Free movement of people, goods, and services can be simply called as globalization. What are the things that are moving? People are moving, goods are moving, and services are also moving. How? Freely. That free movement of people, goods, and services can be called as globalization. What is the advantage? See, this is what happened in Nalanda. Okay, in Nalanda, what was transferred? People came freely, knowledge was transferred freely. That is one form of globalization. That means we are sharing our knowledge, resources, everything with the rest of the world. Now, first thing you heard it is written is global institutions. Global institutions lead to globalization. If you think about it, UN, what did UN promote? UN promoted world peace, human rights, UNHRC, and all these things. It wanted the world to be a stable place. When UN failed, what happened? Groupism started. UN is a protector of the world. When UN fails, everybody wants to have their own groups. Okay. If, for example, WTO promotes World Trade Organization. It's the trade of the world. Okay. When WTO fails, what happens? Deglobalization happens. That means everybody wants to have a group of their own. Okay. This is how you have to think. Problem macro and the solutions. Okay. Next, with under deglobalization, you can also write something called gated globalization. Gated globalization. Have you heard of these terms before? Never? Not even by mistake? What is gated globalization? What does globalization do? Free movement of people, goods, and services. What is gated globalization? Just put a gate to the movement of people, goods, and services. It's like gated communities, right? You might be aware of gated communities. If you are a member of that particular apartment, if your car have a sticker, they will freely allow you to come and go within the apartment. But if you are an outsider, you are restricted. Okay. In the same way, if a group of countries come together and form a group, for example, RCEP or CPTPP, okay, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. In the examples, you can write down all these things. RCEP and TPP. These are examples of gated globalizations or free trade agreements. That means a group of countries will come together and they will form a community. And that community will have globalization. But for outsiders, no. Okay. So all these are problems of what? Failure of global institutions. Deglobalization example, protectionism or trade barriers. Okay, the example for deglobalization is protectionism or trade barriers. Make in India, make America great again, make China great again. Everybody wants to be great, right? Make in India, make in Japan, make in Australia, make in USA. Everybody wants to make in their own country. If everybody wants to make in their country, then that will lead to protectionism. That will lead to trade barriers. That is deglobalization. Okay. There is a very famous thinker for political sciences students called as Francis Fukuyama. Okay, you must have heard about that name, Francis Fukuyama. So Francis Fukuyama in 1990 said that globalization has reached the pinnacle. Humanity is at its peak. Okay, the world is flat. Okay, even Thomas L. Friedman has written a book called as World is Flat. That means globalization has flattened the world. Everybody is equal. The world is one small village. But after 2008 economic crisis, what happened? These global institutions started failing and everybody wants their own groups. Okay. So this is all what? Failure of global institutions. Next. Rise in Russia-China axis. Rise in Russia-China axis, AXIS. Okay, so it's self-explanatory, right? Who are coming closer? Russia and China. Is that a threat to India? It's definitely a challenge to India's foreign policy. I hope you remember why Russia is coming closer to China. Why? Putting something in words is one thing. Knowing something is one thing. I told you the other day Hindu article was saying the same thing, right? Why? Why Russia is coming closer to China? All of you know. So if you don't know, you can read that article again. Okay. Next. Dogmas of Delhi. That is the next point. Write down. I'm not telling Harikatha. Okay. These are points that in the long run you have to use them. Okay. Dogmas of Delhi. The next point is diplomatic balancing. What is diplomatic balancing? I told you balancing. Have you seen this word balancing before today in this class? Sanctions imposed by US. Do you recollect the term of balancing before today in class when it's on the board? It's on the screen. When is the last time you have heard the term balancing in the class? You know, concept called as a live wire, dead wire. When you see a current wire, let's imagine there is no plastic wrapping around the current wire. All the copper wires will look like the same thing, right? Okay. Only when you touch it, you'll know whether electricity is passing through it or not. Yes or no? All UPSC aspirants appear the same. All of them appear smart. Unless we ask them to catch it. So I stopped believing long ago that people are smart by default. You need to test them. Okay. So the test of the cake lies in eating. Yes. What is stage 5? What does balancing mean? Okay. Right. Next point. Unilateral sanctions by superpowers. Unilateral sanctions by superpowers. Example, CATSA. CAATSA. Countering American adversaries through Sanctions Act. Countering American adversaries through Sanctions Act. This is called as CATSA. As the name says, whenever someone countering American adversaries through Sanctions Act, this is a domestic act of USA. Okay, the important distinction here is, if you remember, one of the fundamental principles of India is India does not like sanctions. India does not entertain sanctions. Just yesterday we have discussed at this point that India do not entertain sanctions unless it is a UN backed sanctions. But CATSA is a American domestic act. That means America has passed a law, just like Indian Parliament passed a law. American Parliament has passed a law saying that if America is saying that please don't do business with someone, and if somebody is doing business with that particular country, sanctions can be imposed on that country. It simply means if America says don't buy oil from Iran, but if India is buying oil from Iran, then America can impose sanctions on Indian companies. So that means a domestic law of America is becoming an international law. That is a hugely problematic issue, right? Okay, see, just imagine UN body replaced by American laws. How strange it is. Okay, so that is the power of CATSA, countering American adversaries through Sanctions Act. Recently, a Indian oil company was sanctioned by USA using this particular act. Okay, that clearly shows that America is unilaterally imposing sanctions. Next, unilateral occupations, for example, Russia-Ukraine war. Below the same point, you can also write Russia-Ukraine war. Russia did not take permission of UN. Russia does not consult with anyone, right? Russia directly started attacking Ukraine. So when a country occupies a different country, that is war. So who started this war? Russia has started this war. Unfortunately, both USA and Russia are superpowers. At least P5 members. So the people who are supposed to protect the world are the ones who are engaging the wars, are creating the problems. Okay. Right. West support to Ukraine under the same point. West support to Ukraine. That is also a challenge for India foreign policy. West support to Ukraine. UKRAINA, Ukraine. West support to Ukraine. See, Ukraine is a buffer country. That means on the right hand side, imagine Russia, left hand side, imagine NATO. In between NATO and Russia, who is there? A small country called as Ukraine. If on alone, like that means if independently, Ukraine would have suffered a heavy damage and it would have chosen peace right now with Russia, or Russia would have forced Ukraine for peace. But what happens is when buffer countries are fighting, on the one side you are getting backup, on the other side you are facing upfront. That means Russia is attacking you, USA is giving you weapons. So as long as USA keeps you giving weapons, Ukraine will start fighting, right? On its own, Ukraine does not have money or weapons, but who is giving weapons? USA. So indirectly, USA is encouraging the war to continue. Instead of asking both Russia and Ukraine to come to discussion table, what these countries are doing is encouraging the war. What is one of the principles of India? Dialogue over aggression. That means India prefers to discuss rather than fight. Okay, so this is what is happening, and that is a problem to India. Not only in Ukraine, you see Yemen, you see Syria, you see North Korea, anywhere, Afghanistan, anywhere the big countries are proxy war. The big countries are having a war in small countries, that is called as proxy war. So right now what is happening in Ukraine is a war between USA and Russia through Ukraine. So Ukraine, who is suffering? Ukraine. Russia is happy in a way, or at least but that is what Putin wants us to believe. And USA is also happy. Actually, who is suffering? Who is dying on the roads? Ukraine citizens. So that is a problem. Next. Weaponization of supply chains. Weaponization of supply chains. What are supply chains? Supply, all of you understand supply chains, right? Chain means it's an end-to-end mechanism. That means the moment you place an order in Amazon till they deliver your goods in your home, that entire cycle is called as a chain. Okay, so what are they doing? They are supplying. Okay. Here, instead of Amazon, we take China as an example. China is a country which produces goods and it will deliver the goods all the way till India, or let's say, for example, Europe. So that entire cycle of China producing goods to transporting goods is a cycle. Okay, that is called as trade logistics or logistics, right? The trade routes or that supply chains will now be weaponized. What is meaning of weaponization? See, yesterday I told you a term. India is a pharmacy of the world or pharmacy of third world. I told you, right? India is a pharmacy of the world. That means India makes medicines. Okay. India makes medicines and India exports the medicines to the rest of the world. So India have its own supply chain of what? Medicines. Very simple. But to make medicines, I need raw materials. To make medicines, I need raw materials. Medicine is a final output, but raw material is the input. So 70% of Indian input comes from China. So actually 70% of Indian medicine input come from China. Then output is created in India. So if tomorrow India and China goes for a war or some issue, what is the first thing that China will do? It will stop the raw materials to India. China is stopping the raw materials to India. That stopping of raw materials is called as weaponization of trade or weaponization of supply chains. That means a chain is there. I am threatening you. It's like your father threatening you. I won't give you pocket money. Okay. So weaponization of pocket money. So that is a simple way to understand. So weaponization of trade, weaponization of supply chains. Okay. Right now we are heavily dependent on China for plastic goods, items. A lot of stuff comes from China, right? Okay. If China stops all these things, that is a huge problem. Okay. We have also discussed semiconductors. Where do semiconductors come from? Taiwan. Mostly Taiwan is the world's largest producer of semiconductors. If China decides to block Taiwan, put submarines in and around Taiwan, can goods come out of Taiwan? No. That will literally suffocate the electronic industry. Right? Next, one more important point you have to remember is there is a concept called as rare earth metals. There is a thing called as rare earth metals. What are rare earth metals? First group of what? Periodic table. Okay. Lalta jewelers. No? Gold, silver, they are not rare earth metals. No? That is also a prelims question for you. You are supposed to mug up what are rare earth metals. And the thing is, China is a near monopoly in rare earth metal production. It's not like rare earth metals are not there in other countries, but it takes a huge amount of money to extract them. Okay, they are abundant in nature, but to extract them is costly. That is why they are called as rare earth metals. And contrary to popular belief, gold is not a rare earth metals. Why? Gold is very abundant in the planet. We don't know how to extract it. That's the problem. Okay. So China is monopoly. If China stops rare earth metals, what will happen? Again, manufacturing industry, electronic chip making, and all these things will suffer. Okay. Next, weaponization of supply chains. You have written weaponization of trade. Continuation. I mean the same point. Weaponization of supply chains is also weaponization of trade. Okay. The next is weaponization of finance. Weaponization of finance. What is weaponization of finance? In the brackets, you can write debt trap diplomacy. DEBT, debt. DEBT, debt trap diplomacy. DEBT, debt trap diplomacy. What is a debt? What is credit? Debt is appu. Okay, then credit is vasulu. Okay. Technically correct, right? Incoming, whatever incoming is credited, whatever debited is going out. Simple. So the concept here is China is fine. Actually, not China. People blame China, but the world leader in debt trap diplomacy is USA. It taught the world how to use debt trap diplomacy. That means, as a big country, I have money. Latin American countries are poor. So I will go to Latin American countries. I will give them money. Okay, your country will become Singapore. Your country will become like New York. You take our money. You construct dams, airports, highways, and all those things. Even though the small countries do not need money, America used to give them money. Okay, very well knowing that the leaders are corrupt. Small nations, sometimes the leaders are corrupt. They misuse the money. They don't construct airports, dams, and all these things. So what will they do? They will go into losses. Then America will come and smoothly say, okay, you are not able to repay the money or the interest. Give us your company, give us your country's natural resources. For example, Venezuela. I give a lot of money to Venezuela. Then I will say, okay, you cannot repay. Then I will start exploring oil from Venezuela. So American companies used to start exporting oil from Venezuela. You give 100 crores, but you exploited 1,000 crores. Okay. This concept is debt trap diplomacy. Adapting from its big brother, China has learned the same lessons. China has learned the same lessons, how to become superpower by USA. So the same system China started implementing in its neighborhood, like Central Asian countries, Russia, African countries. All these are small nations, right? They don't have money. So what will China do? China will say, okay, take the money. Around 900 billion to $1 trillion have been invested in this concept. Belt and Road Initiative is fully run on this concept. Debt trap diplomacy. The best example of debt trap diplomacy is as Suprada is asking, what we have seen in Hambantota port in Sri Lanka. There is a port called as Hambantota port in Sri Lanka. There, Sri Lanka wanted to construct a port. China was very happy to give money. Sri Lanka constructed that port. After that, Sri Lanka stopped paying interest. Okay, then Sri Lanka said, I cannot repay the loan. It asked India, please give me money so that I will give money back to China. India said no money. Then Sri Lanka and China signed a lease agreement for 99 years. So for 99 years, who owns the Hambantota port? China. This concept is called as debt trap diplomacy. Okay. So how small nations are being sucked into debt trap diplomacy. Here, one small rational point you have to remember is no country is innocent. Every country that entered into debt trap diplomacy, they literally know what is going to happen. They knew that they cannot repay the loans. If somebody comes and give me a 10 crore loan, okay, if I take it, then the fault is with me also, right? I know I cannot repay 10 crores. Knowing very well I cannot repay 10 crores, but if somebody is giving me, what harm do I have? Okay, and politicians are always smart. For example, in Sri Lanka, politicians took the Chinese money. They ate some money. They became rich. Sri Lanka went into, not the politician. After 5 years, that politician went away. So who is suffering? Sri Lanka is suffering, not the politician. So debt trap diplomacy has its own perks for what? Here, politicians. Okay, so this concept is debt trap diplomacy. Now, what has to do with India's challenges? The heading of today's class is challenges of foreign policy in India. So why are we discussing supply chains? Because India might suffer if China stops pharmacy. But what about Sri Lanka? Why should we bother about Sri Lanka? The thing is, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Pakistan, every country will enter into debt trap diplomacy. Then they all will become like colonies of China. Why? China will say, you owe me money, you cannot repay, I will construct roads, I will construct dams, I will construct airpads or airports or whatever. So China is literally starting constructing infrastructure in India's neighborhood. So there is a railway line between India and Myanmar, sorry, China and Myanmar, that is not coming into India, but that railway line stops on the border of India. So that means if tomorrow China wants to send the troops to India, they already have a railway route just on the borders of India. So China is smartly placing the infrastructure in and around India. That is a threat to India. Okay. So as Winston Churchill says, every opportunity, every crisis is also a opportunity. We will see how these things can also be converted into opportunity in the long run. But for now, just these are challenges. Next, weaponization of energy. Weaponization of energy, water. Energy, water. Self-explanatory, right? What is weaponization of water? Sorry. Restricting the flow of water to other countries. Example is China constructing a dam on Brahmaputra. Okay, so China literally threatens India that we will stop the water to India. Okay, next. Global food and human right crisis. Global food and human right crisis. Is it a challenge for India? It's a global problem, right? Global food and human right crisis. Okay, so the problem is, if somebody is killing somebody in a different country, we won't be bothered. As an Indian, we have never heard about, let's say, Houthis. Have you ever heard about a group called as Houthis? Houthis. Houthis, never heard, right? Okay, Rohingyas. Yes, you have heard about Rohingyas. Who are Rohingyas? Refugees of Myanmar. So why did you hear about Rohingyas but not about Houthis? They entered India. We have a proximity, or else we wouldn't have heard about Rohingyas also. Yes or no? So what I'm trying to tell you is, as a world, we stopped bothering about human rights and all these things when it does not affect us. Okay. Have you heard about a small country called Ethiopia? Yes. Are you aware of any crisis happening in Ethiopia? You are right. So what World Health Organization, Food and Agriculture Organization says is around 70 to 80 lakh people, or children especially, will go into hunger and poverty. They will die of starvation if the wars do not stop in Yemen, Ethiopia, or in Afghanistan. Okay. So 70 to 80 lakh children are deprived of their childhood. Okay. They will never become productive citizens of the world. Okay. What will they become? Probably future terrorists. Okay. Radicalization is easy when you have hunger pockets, when you have poverty pockets. For example, ISIS. What does ISIS do? ISIS will go to the remotest areas of Syria and all this place. They will put a gun in the hand of the kid. So a kid who is not going to the school can be easily radicalized. He will be given a gun, food, even women, right? Then automatically will be loyal to ISIS. This is how ISIS has increased its army. So every humanitarian crisis anywhere is a threat to the global peace. Okay, so and not only that, all those negative spillover effects will come into India. For example, ISIS is there, the terrorist might enter into India, or through Kashmir, or Rohingyas will come into India. So every crisis will have a effect on India and its global interests. For example, Afghanistan is a friend to India. Who is occupying Afghanistan now? Taliban. Yes or no? So didn't it affect India's interest? It definitely affected India's interest. So in that way, you have to expand our think in the broadest things possible, that all these things are very important. Next, arms race, arms race, arms race, and weapons. Arms, ARMS, arms race and weapons. So everyday countries are trying to build or better their arms. Okay, if America says we have a missile which goes with the speed of like Mach 4, Mach 5. Okay, what is Mach? MACH, Mach. Mach is speed of sound or light? Sure. Mach 1 means speed of Mach 2, twice the speed of sound. So Mach 3, Mach 4, Mach 5. Mach 5 means that missile or aeroplane can travel at 5 times the speed of sound. Sound or light? Okay. We cannot travel faster than speed. Sorry, light. There is a limitation. Okay. So recently physics Nobel Prize has been given, right? Quantum mechanics. Okay. Here also the concept of speed of light is very much integral for this year Nobel Prize. Okay, you have to read that. Now coming back, Mach. So if America is having a missile of Mach 5, China wants, let's say, Mach 7. Why? It's a game of speed. If your enemy is launching a missile, you should be able to counter it, or else there is no point. So if you are stuck at Mach 1, Mach 2, then there is no point. You are not secure. Earlier, not having an aeroplane is a problem. Now, not having an aeroplane with a faster speed is a problem. So everybody is increasing their arms race, and the world is spending billions of dollars on weapons. Okay. For example, India is the second largest importer of the weapons in the world. Okay, we used to be number 1, but slowly we are coming to number 2. Right. Next. Terrorism and cyber warfare. Terrorism and cyber warfare. Okay. Self-explanatory. Terrorism and cyber warfare. Cyber warfare is a huge problem. Okay, that's an entirely different concept to be dealt. These are the major challenges of the India's foreign policy in 2022. Okay. Next. Chinese expansionism. Chinese expansionism. Chinese expansionism. What is the meaning of the word expansionism? China is trying to expand its influence or sphere of influence, either through land, air, water, or whatever the ways. Okay. Next, immediate neighborhood issues. Immediate neighborhood issues. What are the immediate neighborhood issues that India have? Sri Lankan economic crisis is one thing. Afghanistan is taken by Taliban. Pakistan, we have an issue. So at least 3 or 4 countries, all the time we have some issue with some of our neighbors. Okay. Next, weakening domestic institutions. Weakening domestic institutions. Weakening domestic institutions and issues. Domestic issues. What are the domestic issues? Example, within the country, what are the examples? Communalism, Naxalism, all these are domestic issues. They will have long-term implications. For example, if Indians, let's say a particular minority group is being attacked in India, automatically all over the world, India will face backlash. So you have to understand a simple dynamic here. India is the only probable country which is having its own majoritarian religion. Okay, for example, if you look at the West, most of the West is Christians. Okay, and the other part of the world is Islam. So India is like in between. Okay, India have Christians, Muslims, and Islam. Probably India is the multi-diverse country. Others are not used to diversity. That is why they are not able to adapt. If you see the issues in France, West, USA, and all these areas, why do they hate the outsiders? They are hating the outsiders because they believe that they are different from them. Okay, but in India, for thousands of years, for at least hundreds of years, we started coexisting, right? So that secularism or Sarva Dharma Samabhava. The word secularism is wrong, technically speaking. Why? It's a Western imposed concept. What we have is Sarva Dharma Samabhava. In West, the secularism is there is a separation between church and the state. That means your religion is different, the state is different. In India, we have a concept called as Sarva Dharma Samabhava. Okay, that is before Indian Constitution itself, we have this term. That means all religions are treated equally. Sarva Dharma Samabhava. Even in Bhagavad Gita, the Krishna says the same thing. That's Swadharma Paramo Dharma. That means your own dharma or whatever it is, you have to follow it, irrespective of who you are. Okay, and you'll still get the enlightenment and whatever. The concept is India promotes Sarva Dharma Samabhava, whereas Western countries separate the church and the state. So that is why in India can enter into all religions equally. So that is why we have 14 or 15 national holidays, right? Buddha Mahavir Jayanti, Buddha Jayanti, or Buddha Purnima, right? So every micro macro religion have different holidays, different festivals. So if let's say a Muslim community is being targeted in India right now, automatically there is a backlash from around 2 billion population. All over the world, there are 2 billion Muslims, or 1.7 or 1.5 billion Muslims. So 1.5 billion Muslims will be against India. Okay, if you target Christians, for example, hypothetically speaking, then automatically there will be a huge backlash from Christians. Okay, and Christians, see, even Joe Biden won the election because he's a staunch Christian, like he follows religion very nicely and all those things. So that means religion still plays a huge role in all over the world. So anything that India does domestically will affect us globally. We don't want that kind of attention. Yes or no? For example, Mother Teresa charity trust was blocked by FCRA rules. Okay, if you are in India, you have to follow Indian rules. There is no two ways about it. You cannot misuse Indian laws. So if somebody is misusing Indian laws, Indian law will affect it. Okay. When Mother Teresa Charity Trust was temporarily blocked or government asked for some verification, automatically there is a huge soft power coming from all over the world. When Nupur Sharma made that statement against Prophet Muhammad, automatically lot of countries made criticism against India. Okay, so that is how domestic things will also affect global things. Yes or no? Why? We are dependent on Saudi Arabia, UAE, all these countries for money, oil, energy security. We cannot make enemies with others. At the same time, we cannot allow them to trample over us, right? Like, for example, if conversion is a huge issue, we cannot entertain conversion. We have to stop conversion. At the same time, balance it with friendly relations. So both are equally important. So domestic issues. Okay. Next. The power struggle between USA and China. The power struggle between USA and China. Yes. Automatically, we can understand it. There is a power struggle between USA and China. We cannot take the sides. We have to balance it. Next, rising oil prices. Rising oil prices. How does this affect India? The foreign policy of different countries. For example, OPEC grouping. Right now, there is a grouping called as OPEC. What is OPEC? What is the full form of OPEC? O do not stand for oil. Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. So this is an important grouping, OPEC, OPEC. OPEC is dominated by Saudi Arabia. So recently what decided is they decided to reduce the production of oil. Reduce the production of oil. So when Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries decide the production of oil, oil prices will automatically increase. So that will affect India's economy. So every dollar increase of oil in the world will affect India's oil prices. The simple logic is when oil prices increase, your inflation increase, your food will become costlier. Okay, so India will suffer. So we need to have an impact on rest of the world. Okay, next. Slide of the rupee. Slide of the rupee. SLID, slide of the rupee. Slide of the rupee because of US central bank policy. Slide of the rupee because of US central bank policy. Okay. So that means if USA announces that my interest rates will increase, if USA says interest rates will increase, automatically rupee value will start falling. Okay, so there is a direct linkage between US banks interest rates and dollar value. Okay, that will affect India's ability. Okay, so these are all other issues. From Chinese expansionism, whatever discussing, we are not technically discussing foreign policy issues. There are also foreign policy issues, but there are other issues. Okay, they will have a severe impact on India's growth. Okay, next. Way forward. Way forward. Write down a quote. A nation that has the aspiration, a nation that has the aspiration to become a leading superpower. A nation that has the aspiration to become a leading superpower someday cannot continue with unsettled borders, comma, an unintegrated region, unsettled borders, comma, an unintegrated region and underexploited opportunities. Underexploited opportunities. Full stop. Above all, it cannot be, dogmatic. Above all, it cannot be dogmatic in approaching it. Above all, it cannot be dogmatic in approaching a visibly changing global order. Visibly changing global order. Okay, so what is the meaning of the term? What did you write? Sorry. It is given by Dr. Jaishankar. My bad. The quote is given by Dr. S. Jaishankar. Okay. So it's a quote by Dr. Jaishankar, who is Ministry of External Affairs. So he said that. So what are the three important words? Unintegrated region, unsettled borders, and underexploited opportunities. Okay, these are the three important words in that quote. And the last one is in a visibly changing global order. What is global order? What is the meaning of the term global order? Global order means who is superpower. If there is one superpower, that is unipolar. Two superpowers means bipolar. More superpower means multipolar. So presently, what is the global order? Multipolar world is a global order. Global order. What is the order of the globe? The order of the globe is there are multiple poles. There is only North Pole, that is USA. There is USA and USSR, that is bipolar. Now there are so many poles. That is the order of the world. So multipolar world or global order right now is multilateralism. Okay, the next slide heading is multilateralism. Multilateralism. The practice of coordinating national policies. The practice of coordinating national policies with a group of countries the practice of coordinating national policies with a group of countries through ad hoc arrangements, ADHOC, ad hoc arrangements or by means of institutions. Or by means of institutions. Okay, full stop. They can be universal, issue specific, or for security, or for security. So please spend a minute in understanding the quote and the meaning of the term multilateralism. Which one? They can be universal, issue specific, or for security reasons. Okay, what is the meaning of the word ad hoc? ADHOC. What is the meaning of ad hoc? Whatever your preparation is, that is called as ad hoc. On the moment, on demand basis. పద్ధతి పాడు లేకుండా దాహం వేసినప్పుడు బావితో ఊపుకుంటాం అనుకుంటాం కదా, that concept is called as ad hoc. Ad hoc means random, out of necessity. Out of necessity, on the moment, if we create something, that is called as ad hoc. ADHOC. Institution means a structure, scheme, a rhythm. Okay, everything will be structured. So multilateralisms can be ad hoc. For example, after 2004 tsunami, 2004 tsunami happened. India, USA, Japan, Australia, all these country navies came together and started helping the victims. Okay, that is an ad hoc example of pollution. Okay, దాన్ని institutionalize చేస్తే అంటే once you structure it, that is called as quad. Okay, so quadrilateral was created out of ad hoc mechanism. Ad hoc is randomness. Okay, whereas institution means a structure. Okay, so multilateralism can be ad hoc, on the moment. I have a demand, I have created an ad hoc solution. For example, COVID vaccination. The world collaborated to help the COVID victims. That is ad hoc arrangement, multilateral. Whereas if you institutionalize, it is called as Gavi, Global Alliance for Vaccines. Gavi. So Gavi is institution, whereas randomly is ad hoc. Okay. Quad, NATO fall under multilateralism. Technically speaking, yes, because group of countries coming together for security reasons. So NATO is a multilateral arrangement. Okay. Next. I hope you understood the meaning of that particular quote. Right, last definition, global order. It is a structure through which distribution of power and capabilities are shared among various players. So global order means it's a channel where power is distributed between whom? Various players according to their own capabilities. Next, India's neighborhood. The side heading is India's neighborhood. The first country is Afghanistan. Right on the first point, A. The retreat of USA from Afghanistan after 20 years. After 20 years led to collapse of democratic institutions. And paving way for Taliban control. In the brackets you can write down no net security provider. Okay. So the backstory is something like this. In 2001, the Twin Towers have been collapsed. A terrorist attack has happened on USA, September 11, right, 2001. So immediately after that, George Bush government declared a war against terrorism. So America's global war on terrorism has started, and many believed that the Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden and his associates are hiding in caves of Afghanistan. So USA declared a war on Afghanistan and surrounding areas. So okay, so it took the help of Pakistan in this war, and they wanted to destroy the terrorism from the planet Earth. Okay, and from 2001 till 2021-22, okay, they spent around $1 trillion. On Afghanistan campaign, and they lost so many thousands of soldiers. So America sent a lot of soldiers to Afghanistan. Soldiers were killed in Afghanistan. It spent around $1 trillion of money. Okay, for example, say the size of Indian economy is $3 trillion. The size of Indian economy is $3 trillion. The amount that America invested in Afghanistan for terrorism is $1 trillion. In spite of all these things, America could not remove Taliban. Okay, or America could not eliminate terrorism. The only major victories for America is One is killing of Osama bin Laden and Al-Zawahiri. Okay, so these are the major victories. Small victories are there, for example, in Syria and other places. But accumulatedly, what did you do in Afghanistan for 20 years? Nothing. Okay, so as long as you are there in Afghanistan for 20 years, Taliban's were in fringe. That means they were hiding on the peripheral. Okay, the moment America has gone away from Afghanistan, immediately the Taliban came and occupied the entire Afghanistan. That means for 20 years, all you did is just to stop the occupation. After 20 years, you led to the occupation. Okay, so that means America was acting as a net security provider. This is the biggest change. Okay, and there is a general concept: power abhors vacuum. That means there should not be any vacuum. If there is vacuum, somebody will try to occupy that. So the moment America went away from Afghanistan, who took all the power? Taliban. Okay, are Taliban democratically elected leaders? No, they have destroyed the democracy in Afghanistan. Right? This is the simple story. That is what is happening in Afghanistan right now. Now, what has it has to do anything with India? Next, point B. The Taliban takeover. The Taliban takeover. The Taliban takeover led to significant increase of importance increase of importance of Pakistan. Okay. In simple terms, Taliban are indirectly controlled by Pakistan. Okay, Taliban are indirectly controlled by Pakistan. Who is controlling Pakistan? China. So there is a direct linkage, right? So Taliban are controlled by Pakistan. Pakistan is controlled by China. All over the world, everybody knows the only way to control Taliban is Pakistan. So if Pakistan says stop terroristic activities, Taliban will reduce its activities, or at least it won't attack you. If you make enemies with Pakistan, automatically you're also enemy of Taliban. But again, I'm oversimplifying the things. Please remember, Afghanistan is not a homogeneous country. That means there is no single Taliban group. There are hundreds of small groups. They all combinedly come under Taliban, but everybody have their own agenda. Every group is having its own importance. There are Pashtuns, there are Afghans, there are so many tribes, so many groups. Every tribe is having its own domination, but collectively all of them are happy to work under the name of Taliban. There is no unity among themselves. Okay, and there is no control. There is no one control of entire Taliban group. And within Taliban, there are groups which hate Pakistan. Within Taliban, there are groups which hate Pakistan. That means all Talibans are not happy with Pakistani domination. They want to be independent. Okay, so like this, there are so many ifs and buts, but for simple understanding, Talibans are controlled by Pakistan. Pakistan is controlled by China. Okay, next. This also led to fears. This also led to fears that Afghanistan will become hub of terrorism. Afghanistan will become hub of terrorism. In the brackets, you can write ISIS, ISIS, and Al-Qaeda, ALQAEDA, Al-Qaeda. Okay. In June 2022, a UN report says, foreign terrorist organizations enjoy safe havens or safe haven under Taliban regime. REGIME. So what did you just write? Next. Taliban are also a humanitarian. Taliban are also creating a humanitarian crisis. In the brackets, children and women. Next. Golden Crescent. CRESCENT. Golden Crescent. And drug sales. I hope you remember what is Golden Crescent. Next. The future of access to Central Asian countries. The future of access to Central Asian countries from Chabahar port. Via Afghanistan is under threat, question, doubt, whatever you want. Doubt is under doubt or under threat or under question. So what does that simply says? From Chabahar port all the way till Central Asia, we had a plan. The plan was through Afghanistan. Now, who controls Afghanistan? Taliban. Taliban may or may not allow India's access through Afghanistan. If you remember the map from day one, it makes more sense, right? Like we have to go all the way to Chabahar port to what? Central Asian countries via Afghanistan. What is the port name besides Chabahar? Gwadar port. Next. Chinese expansionism is underway. Below that, write down subpoint. China started exploring minerals in Afghanistan. minerals in Afghanistan valued between 1 to 3 trillion dollars. 1 to 3 trillion dollars. Simply put, Afghanistan have a mineral value of 1 to 3 trillion dollars. Okay, 3 trillion dollars against the size of Indian economy. So that much amount of minerals are there in Afghanistan. Right now, India is not even having a dialogue with Taliban, proper dialogue with Taliban. When we are in such a situation, who have already started mining? China has already started mining. Where? In Afghanistan. So if China gets all the minerals, then who will become rich? Okay. Next. The strained relations between India and Taliban also affects our interests. All these are what? All these are something that are happening only after USA's withdrawal from Afghanistan. So the last point, the last issue. China, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Iran. China, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Iran, along with Russia, will be a powerful axis. AXIS. So if you can imagine the map, where are these 4 countries? Afghanistan, Pakistan, China, Iran, and Russia. These 5 countries will become a very powerful axis. Okay, axis means they are all one group. Okay, so automatically countries like India may or may not have access to other countries. If they form a group and they block India, India's interest will be severely affected. Okay, next. Convergence. Side heading is convergence. The geostrategic location of Afghanistan. The geostrategic location of Afghanistan connecting east west central and Northeast Asia makes it a valuable ally. Okay, so if you can see the map, remember the map, Afghanistan can give access to all directions. So Afghanistan is very important. So in that sense, it makes a very good friend. Okay, next. It is also gateway to Central Asia. It is also gateway to Central Asia. India has helped India has helped creation of infrastructure in AF, Afghanistan, right? Afghanistan in AF. Example, Salma Dam, SALMA, Salma Dam, comma, Parliament building, Parliament building. Okay. So India has helped construction of dams and Parliament building in what? Afghanistan. That means in future, when Afghanistan democracy comes back, the Parliament building will be active, and every day they will remember India's help. So we don't export ideologies, but we intervene. Afghanistan wanted to have a parliament building. We were generously offering parliament building to Afghanistan. Okay. So this is what we have been discussing so far, right? So how Afghanistan gives access to a lot of infrastructure to India. Next, India also India also provided humanitarian assistance. India also provided humanitarian assistance. Example, health, food, education, skills, health, food, education, skills. That means we have exported wheat, we have given hospital beds, we have exported masks, gloves, COVID vaccine. You can, health means everything, whatever is needed for health, we have given to Afghanistan. Food means export of wheat bags, 50,000 wheat grains have been sent to Afghanistan. You don't have to go into technical details because in the long run you won't use them. So simply remember, whenever Afghanistan was in crisis in relation to food, health, or for education, we constructed schools, etc. And also we have given skill development centers. We have given infrastructure for skill development centers. So the simple saying is like, every school that you open, you are closing a terrorist camp. So every school that we construct in Afghanistan, we are indirectly helping future Afghanistan citizens to be productive citizens of the nation rather than a terrorist. Okay, or die out of hunger and all these things. So that is the importance of India. So Citizenship Amendment Act in converging points. Citizenship Amendment Act is more like before 2005, right? Okay. So what you can write in convergence is, for example, Hindus and Sikhs of Afghanistan coming to India. Recently, a lot of Hindus and Sikhs in Afghanistan were airlifted to India. So religious minorities in Afghanistan and Pakistan are also, we have Hindus, Sikhs, and Christians. If they are persecuted, India will provide asylum, right? So this is just basic. Valuation will come later. You can write down CAA or refugees and all these things. Next, way forward. Some experts recommended direct engagement with Taliban. Direct engagement with Taliban. The brackets you can write down. There is no good Taliban, bad Taliban. There is no good Taliban, bad Taliban. Okay. So in simple words, it means there is no such thing as good Taliban and bad Taliban. All Talibans are terrorists. So that is a perspective. Okay. So because of this thought process, India never entertained the discussion with Taliban. See, who are Taliban? Talibans are technically terrorists, right? Just think about it. There was there was a parliament in Afghanistan. There was a president in Afghanistan. Okay, suddenly somebody with guns will come and say, you know, from tomorrow onwards, the government belongs to us. Then are you taking democracy by respect or through power? Through power, right? So if I start engaging with Taliban, am I not encouraging terrorism? Okay, India will talk with the terrorists. Okay, yesterday in Taliban, people have overthrown the government. We are talking with Taliban. In tomorrow, Sri Lanka, let's say somebody will with a gun will take over the presidentship and he will say, I am the president, and India will engage with him. That means indirectly we are sending a message. It doesn't matter who is in power, we will always talk with whosoever is in power. Then do we have values and principles? No. So we will only engage with people who came to power through democratic means. Okay. In simple terms, if tomorrow in Afghanistan, Taliban announces elections, a dummy elections, just for formality sake. Okay, who will win? Taliban will win. Then who came to power through electoral means? Taliban. Will India engage with Taliban? Yes. Why? It is democratically elected Taliban. Okay, see the irony of the names. All of you know North Korea, right? North Korea is famous for dictatorship. Yes. What is the official name of North Korea? Democratically People's Republic of North Korea. Okay, so the democracy and the republic both are there in North Korea. In reality, what is not there? Neither democracy nor republic. So that means for naming sake, People Republic of China, PRC, that is the official name of China, right? So DPRK, Democratically People Republic of Korea. Okay, so in names are just for namesake. Okay, in reality, democracy is more than that, right? Yes or no? The same with Afghanistan also. Right now, terrorists have taken over Afghanistan by pressure. Tomorrow there will be elections. India will be happy to engage. But at least we need that minimum assurance that democracy will come back to Afghanistan. The same logic we can apply to Myanmar also. In Myanmar also, a democratically elected government has been overthrown by military. That is called as military coup, right? So military coup happened in Myanmar. There we are following something called as a twin track diplomacy. We are asking for democracy's return. At the same time, we are continuing the engagement with military. But in Afghanistan right now, we do not have the dialogue format. One major difference is Pakistan is not at all interested in even allowing the India to have a dialogue. China is having dialogue with Taliban. America is having dialogue with Taliban. See, who fought for 20 years? Taliban and USA. Right now, even America is talking with Taliban, but India was not allowed to talk to Taliban. If India says peace with Taliban or talking with Taliban, who will be very upset? Pakistan will be upset. If Pakistan is upset, Taliban are upset. So that is why Taliban are not at all engaging with India. This is a major problem that India is facing in Afghanistan. Okay, and then children are being converted into terrorists, human bombs. Okay, girl child is being trafficked, kidnapped. Okay, they are also being converted into terrorists. Women are not allowed to go into the streets without the male companion. That means Afghanistan has become a a den of dogmatism. Like for example, orthodoxy has taken place. Okay, women are not allowed to get educated. Schools are shut down. Hospitals do not have proper facilities. The literally people in Afghanistan are suffering, but they cannot say anything. Why? The moment you say something, immediately are shot in the middle of the road. Okay, so human rights are being violated like anything in Afghanistan. All these things happened because of what? America's unilateral withdrawal. America one day decided to go back and it went away. Right? That is a problem. And political executions. For example, as soon as America went away, what did Taliban do? Taliban started killing whoever supported America. So that is again human rights violation. So right now, Afghanistan is a very dangerous and a bad place. And unfortunately, Afghanistan's security will affect India's security as well, or India's national interests. If you remember the third line of Indian UPSC syllabus, what does the third line say?
Policies
affecting India's interest. Anything that affects India's interest is India's problem. So right now, Afghanistan is a problem. So now, instead of all these things, what is the way forward?
So, but at what cost we are not engaging with Taliban because they are not democratically elected. But at what cost we are losing this dialogue? Given that China is making swift moves for all the economic exploitation, we are already deprived and dependent on China, and again losing the game in hand.
That is what makes India India, right? So it's better to lose a game rather than lose your value system. And second thing, if we have other revenues, right? We have minerals, we have other resources to exploit elsewhere. So if you are so bothered about exploiting minerals, you can invest in elsewhere, right? Right now, India is not saying that we don't want to engage with Taliban. India is interested to have a backdoor diplomacy with Taliban. We have exported food. Slowly through persuasion, we want to convert Taliban into India's favor. Right? So that is the game, because Pakistan cannot sustain Taliban forever. So India have that patience. See, think about it. Russia, USA, France, China, you take any major country, every major country have a black mark. Probably India is the only country which do not have a black mark because of its value system. Okay, you may have a temporary win because of advancement, but in the long run history, unless you have money, you always will be blamed, right? So simply put, it's like this. When is the last time somebody blamed USA for dropping nuclear bombs on Japan? We totally forgot about it happily, right? Everybody says Tiananmen Square, Tiananmen Square. China literally sent trucks over its own citizens in 1988. Okay, China is a very bad country. China is doing something in Hong Kong. Okay, think about all these things. You killed 3 lakh people in the span of minutes. USA literally killed Japanese citizens in matter of minutes. 3 lakh citizens gone in an instant. Okay, nobody is bothered about it. Why? USA that kind of money to manipulate the history, to say things, okay, everything is fine. Yes or no? But can you say of the same thing about India? Did we do of anything in those sorts in anywhere? So if you observe history as history, India will always come out very shiningly because it has its own values. People will say, no, we are not like USA, we are not like China, because of democracy we are suffering and all those things. Actually, we are suffering because of lack of leadership, not because of all the external factors, right? In spite of all these things, India is still becoming the 3rd largest economy in the world. If you logically think about it, we are the 3rd largest economy in the world without colonizing anyone, without killing someone. Or for example, in 1947, what happened? The Britain stopped the food supplies to India, and in the Bengal we had a famine. Around 10 lakh people died in Bengal famine. Okay, that is the most recent modern day humanitarian crisis. 10 lakh people died. Okay, is anybody bothered? Britain? No. Right? USA? No. That is the power of money. They're just manipulating. They are managing. That is why when Jaishankar said, the problems of Europe are not the problems of the world, but the Europe thinks that the problems of Europe are the problems of the world. We are giving it back to them in the right sense of the term. That means the world has to realize this is not the way to run things. For short-term gains, if you join hands with Pakistan, knowing very well that Pakistan is a terror exporter, if you are giving more money to Pakistan, aren't you encouraging terrorism? Then if somebody from Pakistan comes and collapses your towers, we cannot cry saying that, Pakistan is a terror exporter. You empowered Pakistan. So the simple thing is, as long as you follow principles, America wouldn't have suffered like that if it followed principles. So India is suffering in India suffered, but still it is growing. It is getting stronger. Yes. So these are the lessons that you can take away from that. Clear? Yes. So where was I? There is no good Taliban, bad Taliban. All Talibans are terrorists. That is actually India's stand. So that is why we are not able to engage with Taliban. And see, even if you are interested, Pakistan won't allow us. Next, collaboration with other nations. Collaboration with other nations. Example, joint mining. Joint mining. Joint mining in Afghanistan with China. Joint mining in Afghanistan with China. See, when Xi Jinping, the premier of China, came to Mamallapuram in Tamil Nadu, okay, both India and China agreed to explore Afghanistan jointly. Will it happen at the ground level? That's a whole different scenario. But at least China is willing to explore the minerals with India. So is India exploring that opportunity? Only God will know. Okay, I hope you got the concept right. Collaboration with other nations is still a possibility, especially with China. If China says yes, I am exploring minerals with India, can Pakistan do anything? No. Why? Pakistan is dependent on China. The Taliban are dependent on Pakistan. There is nothing that Taliban can do. Next point. Leveraging friendship with other nations. Leveraging friendship with other nations. What is the meaning of the word leverage? Maximize the advantage, right? Okay. So right now we may not be there in Afghanistan, but what can we do? Who is there in Afghanistan? Russia has some kind of presence. China has some kind of presence. USA have some kind of presence. Iran has some kind of presence. Are we friends with all these countries? Yes. So using all these countries, we can put pressure on Afghanistan to get things done. See, simply put, the story is like this. Afghanistan wants recognition. Taliban want recognition. Talibans want to be recognized as the legitimate rulers of Afghanistan. If India says it's okay to talk to Taliban, then all the small countries or other countries will also say it's okay. Why? India is the only country with principles. If a country with the principles is saying, it's okay to talk to Taliban, then all the legitimacy came to Taliban. So Taliban needs recognition. India needs Afghanistan. Okay, so there can be some kind of arrangement between Indian government and Taliban saying, we will recognize you given that you will promote human rights, take care of women, children, you won't allow terrorism. So if you do all these conditions, then we will recognize you. So it's a win-win for Taliban and India. So these kind of things have to happen. Okay, next. Continuation of Kabul process. KBUL, Kabul process. What is so special about Kabul? Capital of Afghanistan. See, one small point you need to remember here is this. Are you able to see this map? There are 4 points: Herat, Mazar-e-Sharif, Kabul, and Kandahar. Okay, so that is like a circle, like that's like a highway. if you actually connect Herat and Mazar-e-Sharif, it's like a highway. That circle is highway. Whereas Kandahar, Ghazni, Kabul, this ring road, this ring road, this side of the Afghanistan is totally under Taliban control. And as you can understand, it is very close to Pakistan. So whatever is coming from Pakistan side, let's say from Kandahar, Kabul, that area is dominated by Taliban, and that area is very closer to Pakistan. So why America failed for 20 years? America is a superpower. It has the best satellites, army, technology, everything. The thing is, the Taliban are spread throughout the ring road. Okay, if you imagine the ring road, outside the ring road, who are there? Taliban are there. Is the ring road complete? No. So there is a time where, let's imagine from Herat to Mazar-e-Sharif, if I'm constructing a highway, every kilometer costed crores of rupees. That means from here to, let's say, that whiteboard, 100 meters up, 30 meters, I'm laying a road. Tomorrow Taliban will come and plant landmines there. Okay, the moment an American soldier goes there, it blows up. Okay, the road is damaged. Again, from where I have to start? From point A. So from point A to point B, I'm focusing all my energies. So for an attacker, he clearly knows where you will. Where will American soldiers be? American soldiers will be on the ring road. Where will the Taliban be? Anywhere. Taliban can be anywhere, but where will you find American soldiers? Exactly on the ring road. So if I start targeting ring road, who will die? American soldiers will die. And who is laying roads? American contractors. So I have to bring technology, American soldiers, money. Literally, there was a time between Afghanistan and USA where every kilometer of the road costed millions of dollars. 1 million is like, $10 lakh. Okay, $10 lakh is around 6 crore rupees in Indian currency. Right now, 8 crore rupees. So for kilometer of road, 8 crore rupees. Just imagine. In spite of all these things, for 20 years, they could not complete the road. That is a failure. Why? You construct a ring road, tomorrow it is damaged again. So you come to repair it, you are a sitting duck. Yes or no? Like exactly, Taliban will be waiting. I have damaged the road here. Some American will come to repair this road. What will I do? I will kill him. It's like, you understood the concept, right? So the failure of America is because America was heavily concentrated around this ring road. And the Taliban advantage is, let's say the Kandahar area. They will kill Americans, and where will they go? They will happily hide in Pakistan. They can cross the border, right? They can come across the border and they will hide there. Americans won't know that where are the Talibans. Why? Americans assume that Pakistan will kill Talibans. Actually, who is protecting Talibans? Pakistan. They were dependent. They knew. Some of them knew. Some of them were blind to believe this. Okay. So again, dogmas are very powerful things, right? In spite of all these things, America gave a lot of money to Pakistan to do what? To kill Taliban. So every time the American was attacked in Afghanistan, who is actually getting money? Pakistan was getting money. Who is supporting Taliban? Pakistan. So you understood who gave money to kill Americans? America gave money to kill Americans only. That is unfortunate scenario of Afghanistan or USA, especially in relation to what? Of Pakistan. So you should never trust Pakistan. Only after 2008 Mumbai attacks, America started realizing that we should reduce Pakistan. But Pakistan's luck is so great that the moment America stopped funding Pakistan, it found a new best friend, China. So that is the next diagram. The next diagram is what? The China-Pakistan economic corridor, right? Yes, I hope you understand. Next point you are writing is continuation of Kabul process. So that efforts on counter-terrorism, women's rights, and democratic values. Will stay on agenda. In the brackets, Afghan owned, Afghan owned, 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 comma, led and controlled process. Thank you. Afghan owned, led and controlled process. You can sit somewhere here, right? You have to see the board. You can sit there. From there also board is very clearly visible. But you will directly sit in front of the AC, you will suffer every day. I will see you suffering. So you can sit happily in that corner. Okay. We'll take a 5 minutes break. So your question is, what is the role of Financial Action Task Force, if at all any? That is your question, right? Again, when we normally it's like this, we can bring a lot of pressure on Pakistan from all sides. When we bring pressure on Pakistan from all sides, Pakistan has to realize that it cannot continue the export of terrorism. See, right now Pakistan is under a group called as Financial Action Task Force. That means we are suffocating Pakistan not to do terrorism. So slowly Pakistan will realize that one day we have to move away from terrorism. Only then we will survive. Right now, the size of Pakistan economy is in your expectation. What is the size of Pakistan's economy? Pakistan nuclear power, it's our neighbor. So what can be the size of Pakistan? So it's around $300 billion. So Pakistan is just a $300 billion economy. Okay, India is 10 times bigger technically. India is a $3 trillion economy. So if Pakistan is collapsing, it is collapsing because of its own activities, that is terrorism. So if Pakistan gives up terrorism, it will again have friends like India, USA, China, Russia, everybody will be friends with Pakistan. So it's high time that Pakistan move away from terrorism. Today, literally, there is an article by Raja Mohan, Dr. Raja Mohan in Indian Express. It is related to Pakistan. So I encourage you to read that article in Indian Express. So it will make more sense to you. Okay. Please make sure you read that article because it is about General Bajwa, who is Pakistan's military head. Okay, and for understanding sake, remember this: if you need something to get done in Delhi, like in India, you should talk to Delhi. That means you should talk to Parliament, India's government. Okay, in Pakistan, if you want a dialogue, talk to Islamabad. Dialogue means just dialogue. Show is Islamabad. If you actually get something done in Pakistan, talk to Rawalpindi. Rawalpindi is where military headquarters is. Islamabad is where political headquarters is. So just for show, talk to Islamabad. Reality, talk to Rawalpindi. Who is in Rawalpindi? The army. So General Bajwa. So if General Bajwa is saying something, then Pakistan will change. He also recently made a statement that it's high time that Pakistan moves away from geopolitics to geoeconomics. Politics means enough drama. Kashmir, we need Afghanistan, we need Kashmir. That is Kashmir and all these things is geopolitics. We need to move to geoeconomics. In the sense, geography plus economics. Because of our location, we can make money. Pakistan should start focusing on money. See, without money, no ruler can rule the kingdom, right? So one of the first principles of any government is have money. Without money, you cannot survive. Okay. So this is summary of India. This is just brief outline of Afghanistan. What is happening in Afghanistan? America moved away. It might become a terrorist hub, and that will affect India's interest. So what should India do? India should probably open doors of dialogue with Afghanistan. Okay. Either you can read bulky books, or you can just add value to whatever you see in newspapers from now onwards. Okay. And it's a continuation of story. Next is Pakistan. Simple. One-page notes for every nation, right? Afghanistan is one page. More than one page. 3 pages. 2, 3. Afghanistan, only Afghanistan. 2 pages. Pakistan. What is the story with Pakistan? What is the first thing that you remember when you see a Pakistan? So the first and the most obvious heading in under Pakistan is border. Border. Under border, write down A. Line of control. Line of control. Pakistan, the first issue with India is line of control. Next. Actual ground position line. Actual ground position line. Yes, all valid points. India, Pakistan. Okay in this water says. So the second point is actual ground position line. In the brackets, write down Siachen. Where is Siachen Glacier? Somewhere in Ladakh. Okay. Yes. So the first one is line of control. The second one is actual ground position line. Say actual ground position line is the border of Siachen. Okay, so it's like Siachen Glacier and the border. Next one. Kashmir issue. Yes. Dilution of Article 370. Internationalization of Kashmir issue. Kashmir issue at UN. At UN. Okay. Next, Gilgit Baltistan, Gilgit, Gilgit, Gilgit. Baltistan. Okay, in the brackets, provisional provincial status. Provisional provincial status. Yes, Gilgit Baltistan, provisional provincial status. If you remember the map I showed you on day 1, where is Gilgit? Gilgit is in Ladakh. So if you see the political map of India, Gilgit and Baltistan both are in Ladakh of India. So recently what Pakistan have done is, it has declared the Gilgit-Baltistan area as a 4th province of Pakistan. That means Pakistan is claiming that a part of India is its own province, like a state. Okay, if we say North India, South India, Northeast India, West India, West of India, right? Like in the same way, just like Northeast, Pakistan is claiming Gilgit is a part of Pakistan. Don't you think it's accelerating the issue between India and Pakistan? Yes. Why? Pakistan wants to internationalize Kashmir issue. Recently, the Germany Germany made a statement saying that we will intervene in Kashmir issue. See, we have an agreement with Pakistan, that is Shimla agreement. We say it's a bilateral issue. Kashmir is a bilateral issue. Bilateral means two, India and Pakistan. And in Shimla agreement, we say one thing: it will be solved peacefully and amicably. That means one day we will sit, start talking, and solve it peacefully, and that too bilaterally. We will never involve third party. That is agreement between whom? India and Pakistan. Right now, what is Pakistan trying to do? It is internationalizing Kashmir issue. That means it wants to bring everybody and involve them in Pakistan, Kashmir issue, right? So what did we agree? Bilateral settlement. What is Pakistan doing? Bringing everyone. Who? What is the role of Germany? Where is Germany? Where is Kashmir? What has Germany has to do anything with Kashmir? Who brought it? Pakistan. So these kind of activities by Pakistan is not helping India's solution. Okay. Next. Sir Creek issue. Sir Creek. Where is Sir Creek? I showed you the map. It's near Gujarat, right? If you see the map, I showed you a Gujarat, the green and red color line. Yes. Long ago, first day. In the brackets, write down THAL WEG. THAL WEG. Principle. Thalweg principle. Okay. To understand this principle, say understand it like this. Imagine a river. If my hands are the boundaries of river, okay, the middle of the river is the boundary. If the river is of my hands as like fixed size, okay, the middle, if you draw a middle line between the river, that is a boundary between two states. So that principle is called as Thalweg principle. Now, if I increase the river size, what happened? Then the middle point changed, right? If I increase the river to this side, did my boundary extend? In whose favor? My favor, right? Why? The middle point increased into that country. So as long as, if I say narrow, border changed. If I say the river is broader, the border changed. If the river is like very broad, again the river changed. Or if the river is moving into India, the boundary changes. So if the middle point of the river is the boundary, then what should be fixed? The river should be fixed. Then middle point is easy. Middle point is fixed. Now the river is fixed. Pakistan will say it's big. India will say it's small. Then boundaries keep on changing. You understood the simple logic? That is the issue of Sir Creek. Okay. See, all these are not by lack of scientific technology. We can literally drop a satellite image and say this is the length of the river, this is the border, this is the middle point. These are not geographical problems, these are political problems. I'm not willing to accept the boundary. Okay. Yeah. Size of the rivers, the middle point of the river decides the boundary. Okay. Next, threats and issues. Next slide heading, threats. And issues. The first point under threats and issues is state-sponsored terrorism. State-sponsored terrorism. So here a simple definition will help you, right? Like there is state, there is non-state, and there is a deep state. State means India, Pakistan, North Korea, South Korea. Countries can be technically called as states. Okay. Then non-state actors. Non-state actors means somebody who is visible but not recognized. For example, Naxals and all these people are non-state actors. Terrorist groups are non-state actors. Now, the even bigger concept is deep state actors. They are called as deep state actors. State actors, non-state actors, and deep state actors. Deep state actors are somebody who is not visible, but they have a vested interest. For example, a business group. Okay, they do not want a trade between India and Pakistan. Okay, because they get profit from it. Or if there is a war between India and Pakistan, they get profit from it. So such invisible groups with networks is deep state actors. Here, the line you have written is state-sponsored terrorism. What is the state here? Pakistan. So Pakistan is officially encouraging terrorism. That is the problem with Pakistan, state-sponsored terrorism. In the brackets, you can write India called Pakistan or Pak. India called Pak as Ivy League of Terrorists. IVY. Ivy League of Terrorism. See, what is Ivy? Ivy are a group of colleges, just like IITs and IIMs in India. In USA, there are a group of colleges called as Ivy colleges. That means as a student, if you get admission in Ivy college, you have world-class education. So in the same way, India criticized Pakistan as Ivy League of Terrorism. That means if somebody wants to become a good terrorist, where should he go? Pakistan. So that is the criticism that India has levied on Pakistan. Okay. State-sponsored terrorism has been written, right? Okay. Next, infiltration and cross-border terrorism. Infiltration and cross-border terrorism. Simple to understand? Yes. Next, violation of ceasefire agreements. Violation of ceasefire agreement. 2003. That means at LOC we made an agreement that we won't shoot at each other, but Pakistan regularly violates that agreement. Next, threat of 2.5 front war. Two and a half front war. I hope you remember what is 2.5 front war. China, Pakistan, and internal issues. And internal issues collectively is 2.5 front war. That means Pakistan and China can join hands and start attacking India at same time. Next, salami slicing. Salami, SALAMI, salami slicing. All of you know slicing? What is slicing? What is this? What is slice?
Making into parts.
Making into
Parts.
parts. Bread slice. Okay. Bengaluru Iyengar Bakery. You do get the bread slice. So that is slicing. Okay. Here, salami slicing means there is a concept called as bleed India through 1,000 cuts. Bleed India through 1,000 cuts, or make India suffer through 1,000 cuts. See, simple logic is this. If I come and slap you, okay, the maximum you will try to do is slap me back. That's all. Okay. If you come and slap me, I won't take a hammer and kill you, right? Sometimes it might happen, but normally it doesn't happen. In simple terms means India is a nuclear power, Pakistan is a nuclear power, China is a nuclear power. If you send 10 terrorists and attack India, one day 2 terrorists are killed, the other day 3 terrorists are killed. Okay, if you read newspapers every single day there is a terrorist attack. Yesterday, a brave army dog was caught in the terrorist attack, right? So the other day a soldier died. Day before that a major died. 2 Pakistan terrorists died. So that means every day you see in the newspaper, you get moral apathy. That means you stop worrying about terrorism. But everyday terrorism is a strange act. So tomorrow, if a terrorist comes into India, okay, and he's killed, you won't go into Pakistan and drop nuclear weapons or a missile, right? Okay, but are you happy every day? No. Every day they are attacking you. Bleed India through 1,000 small cuts. Like take a blade and cut India small. Because somebody is attacking you with one terrorist, you will never use your nuclear weapon. At the same time, you are not happy. Yes or no? Can we launch a war on Pakistan because it has sent 2 terrorists? No, the cost will be very high on India. At the same time, are you happy? No. So this technique is called as a salami slicing. That means every day, every occasion that they will keep on attacking India. India has to secure its borders. So this is adapted both by China and Pakistan towards India. Salami slicing. Okay. Next. Non-traditional security threats. Non-traditional security threats. So we cannot launch a Agni missile because a dog has been attacked, right? Okay, then why do you have Agni missile? Your enemy should be afraid that you have Agni missile or you have a nuclear missile that I should not attack India. But your enemy is smart. I will not attack in such a big way that he will use Agni missile. At the same time, I won't allow him to be happy. Okay, so this is unfortunate reality. So that is why we have done surgical strike. Okay, to tell them, this salami slicing is no longer entertained. But Balakot airdrop also is the same problem. But the thing is, both surgical strike or airstrike at Balakot has escalated the cost of war. That means if you lost one aircraft, it costs around 70 crore rupees. And at the same time, probably a pilot would have died. Abhinandan was lucky enough to survive. But if he have died, then you lost a soldier, lot of money, right? And at the same time, you're directly converting it into a war. Just imagine, okay? So the cost of escalations is not good for India. Then why do we have nuclear weapons? If we have a nuclear weapon, our enemy should be afraid, right? When will you use nuclear weapon? When will you use it? Only when Pakistan attacks India with a nuclear weapon, you will use nuclear weapon. Then what is the use of having a nuclear weapon? If your enemy is not afraid, then to deter the stance of any attack by showing nuclear weapons. Again, even Pakistan knows how many nuclear weapons India have. India also knows how many weapons Pakistan have. See, nuclear weapon is just for sure, right? In 1998, India conducted 5 nuclear tests. What did Pakistan do? It conducted 6 nuclear tests. You have you have a nuclear weapon. You conducted it 5 times. What did Pakistan do? 6 times. What will India do again? 7th test. You are just conducting test in your own home ground, saying I have a nuclear weapon. Is your enemy afraid? The very irony is, in 1998, India showed that I have a nuclear weapon. In 1999, Kargil happened. Very next year. Yes. So then, did we actually create fear in the mind of the enemy? No. So this is a daily problem for India. So that is why we have moved to FATF. We will discuss all those points sooner than later. And from traditional attacking point of view, we understood a whole different dimension towards Pakistan. Next. Non-traditional security threats, right? Brackets, you can write down drone delivery of drugs, narcotics, weapons. Drones are drones, narcotics. Drones, narcotics. NARCOTIS. Narcotics is drugs. So earlier people used to bring weapons, drugs, and all these things. Now, stylely, a drone will come and drop the bombs. Okay. So terror attack means that does not mean he has to carry huge amount of weapons. 2 grenades and a gun is also terrorism. Yes or no? Right. Next. China and Pakistan all-weather friendship. China and Pakistan, all-weather friendship. What is the meaning of all-weather friendship? In any circumstances, China and Pakistan are all-weather friends. Have you seen a similar line in relation to China and Russia? The other day Hindu article, I told you a specific line. No limit friendship. So between Russia and China, it's a no limit friendship. So in Pakistan and China, it's a all-weather friendship. So these terms are very important for your answer writing. All-weather means good or bad, worse or whatever it is, Pakistan and China will always be a friends. That is not a good thing for India. And the last but not the least, provocation of Taliban against India. Provocation of Taliban against India. This can also be a threat. It may not become reality, but at least a threat. Okay, next point. Collapsing economy of Pak. When an economy collapses, what happens? It might lead to civil war. So just imagine tomorrow Taliban taking over Pakistan in the civil war, okay, or some terrorist taking control of nuclear plant in Pakistan. So if India is suffering, if Pakistan economy is collapsing, civil war might happen. Then a group of armed people might occupy a nuclear power center or something, or a critical infrastructure. Anything can happen. That is not good for India. Next, Azad Pathan Hydel project. AZAD, Azad Pathan, PATTAN, Pathan, Azad Pathan Hydel project. Azad Pathan Hydel project. Okay, it's in POK. Okay, so Pakistan is constructing a Hydel project on Indian territory. If you remember the CPEC diagram, it passes through Gilgit-Baltistan, right? In the same way, if POK is what? Indian territory. Who is constructing a dam? Pakistan. On whose territory? India's territory. That is also an issue between India and Pakistan. Okay, next. Convergence. Indus Water Treaty. Indus Water Treaty. Yes, soft power. So there is a treaty called as Indus Water Treaty. As the name says, Indus. So Indus rivers will be passing through India and Pakistan. We are giving 80% of water to Pakistan. We are only keeping 20% of water with India. So it is a very generous agreement, right? So even to our enemy, we are giving 80% of water. And again, remember, nowhere you will find India calling Pakistan as enemy. Only for understanding sake in the classes, we use the term enemy. India never calls Pakistan as enemy. Okay, it is still our neighbor. It's a troubled neighbor. That's all. So what was the second point? Soft power. For example, Kartarpur corridor. Kartarpur, K-A-R-T-A-R, Kartarpur, P-R, Kartarpur corridor. What are corridors? Corridor means an area, right? Like something like this. Okay. So between Pakistan and India, there is a Gurudwara. It is very important for Sikhs. Okay. So what India and Pakistan have done is they have created something like a gated community. Okay. You enter into Pakistan, you visit Kartarpur Sahib, and you come back. So that entire area is caged. So if you enter into Pakistan, you will only visit Kartarpur Sahib and come back. So that entire corridor is an example of soft power. That means at least for religion's sake, both India and Pakistan can work together. Okay. Not only that, under soft power, we also give medical visas to Pakistanis. Medical visas. Medical tourism is promoted. Medical visa is there. Right. Music is a collaboration. For example, a lot of Pakistani singers work in Bollywood industry. A lot of actors work in Bollywood industry. Indian serials are very famous in Pakistan. So all these are convergence. That means these are areas where Pakistani citizens and Indians collaborate. Okay. So what have we written? Convergence, right? Soft power is a very important thing, and Indus water treaty. Okay. Next. India have started. India has started leveraging. India has started leveraging counter-terrorism stance on Pakistan and kept Pak under Financial Action Task Force list, FATF list. See, simply understand it like this. Earlier, there was a time where India used to call Pakistan a thief or Pakistan a terrorist exporting country. India used to say Pakistan is an exporter of terrorism. Pakistan used to say India is a violator of Kashmir. So we used to blame Pakistan. Pakistan used to blame India. So there was a time where everybody started believing if India and Pakistan are shouting, we should not listen to them. Why? India does not like Pakistan. Pakistan does not like India. They will madly shout at each other. No need to give importance. Okay. India was the only country which used to shout Pakistan is a thief, Pakistan is a terror exporter and all those things. Nobody gave heed. After 2008, okay, America for the first time realized, because American citizens were killed, Jewish centers were attacked, American interests were affected. So that clearly showed that Pakistan is not a good country. Like there was a lot of proof. USA even told India that there might be an attack. So USA knew about the attack. So the USA understood that Pakistan is a terror exporter. At that moment, what India have realized is, if I shout alone, like Pakistan is a thief, nobody is believing me. Then what India have done is, India have brought all its friends, like small countries, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, everybody, and collectively they started shouting, Pakistan is a terror exporter. Along with this, US's support has been reduced. After 2008 nuclear deal, India-USA became closer. Using that friendship, we brought a pressure on Pakistan. So even through China also, we try to bring pressure on Pakistan, UNSC resolutions and all those things. Russia, pressure on Pakistan. So from every direction possible, we are trying to bring a lot of pressure on Pakistan. So instead of directly dealing with Pakistan through attacks, okay, we started bringing financial pressure. So what happens in Financial Action Task Force is two things. One is money laundering and terror financing. That means if a money is going into terrorist activity, or if black money is coming to Pakistan to become white money, both those sources have been restricted. So Pakistan is already suffering from economic collapse. Now the terror money is not coming, terror financing is not coming, money laundering is not coming. So Pakistan is suffering from money. So when you cut the money, now imagine, how do Pakistan control Taliban? Let's imagine I am Taliban. Who am I? I am Pakistan. What am I giving to Taliban? I am giving them money. Taliban do not have their own sources, right? Taliban do not have anything. Taliban have drugs. So the drug money is again flowing into Pakistan. Terror related money is flowing into Pakistan. Who is giving money to Pakistan? USA is giving. Recently, who is giving money to Pakistan? China. So all the money is coming into Pakistan. Okay. Now we literally targeted this cycle. Though money might flow into Pakistan, but money is not flowing back into Taliban. Can you control Taliban? To an extent, but not on the same level. So by suffocating Pakistan, by creating a barrier around Pakistan, we are limiting Pakistan's influence on terrorism. See, terrorism or radicalism will thrive only as long as you give money. The moment you stop giving money, they will turn against you. Why are Taliban angry against Pakistan? Because Pakistan is not supporting them as much as it could have. Okay, what is China doing in Taliban in Afghanistan? It is exploiting its own resources. Are Taliban getting anything out of it? Peanuts. If China is extracting 100 crores, probably 1 or 2 crores is going back into Taliban. You know that China is robbing you, but you cannot do anything. Will you be happy forever? No. Is Pakistan helping Taliban? Not technically. Why Pakistan suffocating? So this new strategy of India to suffocate Pakistan by building barrier around money is the latest change. Okay, suffocate Pakistan through sanctions, barriers. Okay, if you remove the money by putting it under FATF list, by controlling the money, then Pakistan do not have any other option but to give away terrorism. They have to realize this. So the old technique was attack Pakistan, kill terrorists and all those things. In spite of this, terrorism will happen. It won't go away, but we will reduce the impact of terrorism to the maximum extent. And second thing, the moment Pakistani citizens realize that if we give up terrorism, we are getting a lot of money. The moment we adopt terrorism, we are losing money. Then what will Pakistani citizens support? Giving up on terrorism, right? So this is the tactic that India is applying. The more pressure you bring on Pakistan, the less terroristic activities. Okay.
The recent aircraft deal between Pakistan and US, in spite of so much of close friendship between India and US, still we could not make them understand that they are not supposed to do it.
Again, that will be totally interfering with the different country, right? Second thing, we can say that we don't give them, but there is a part of legitimate concerns from Pakistan side also. They also need security. Forget about all this and simply, who is making aircrafts?
US.
Who is getting money? So Pakistan is just a shopper for US companies. That is how Pakistan is treated by India. Sorry, USA. Okay. Next, way forward. Continued dialogue. Continued dialogue. Continued dialogue. Both at continued dialogue, both at bilateral and multilateral level. Continued dialogue both at bilateral and multilateral level. That means if we go to Shanghai Cooperation Organization, BRICS, or not BRICS, SCO, or some other grouping, if we see Pakistan, we should keep on talking with Pakistan. The best example is recently Pakistan was under floods. A lot of floods happened in Pakistan. Around 50% of Pakistan geographical area was under floods. Then Prime Minister Modi tweeted saying, "We feel very sorry for you. We are willing to help you." At least as a neighbor, we are willing to offer the help. If they take or not is their problem. Offering is our choice. So we made the choice. They did not take it. That's a different scenario. Next. revival of trade which is suspended across LOC. Revival of trade which is suspended across LOC. LOC means, what is difference between LOC and LOAC? Then why don't we call it also as LOC? What is difference between LOC and LOAC? Homework. Find out tomorrow and tell me. What is difference between LOC and LOAC? Yes. Next. Investment in CBM. What is CBM? Confidence building measures. Investment in CBM and soft power diplomacy. Investment in CBM and soft power diplomacy. Confidence building measures. Okay. And this soft power diplomacy, all of you understand soft power, right? So efforts on, next point, efforts on isolation of Pak. Efforts on isolation of Pak at international level. Efforts on isolation of Pak at international level should continue. Lastly, last point, building our capacity and competence. Building our capacity and competence. So you can only depend on others for a point of time, right? Like you have to be competent and defend your own self. Okay. So the more you defend yourself, the more competent you are, the more money you have, more influence you have, more you can suffocate the Pakistan. So by bringing a lot of pressure on Pakistan, automatically you can try to change Pakistan. Okay. So that is Afghanistan and Pakistan. So at least this is contemporary. As I said, the classes are basic, right? That means when you see newspaper, at least you should know where India and Pakistan are in 2022. Right now, as of today, this is where we stand with either Afghanistan or with Pakistan. Yeah. Yes. Any questions?
Someone asks, we are not prioritizing values when we are buying oil from Russia.
Why are we not prioritizing? Okay. How are we violating principles? Who told us not to buy oil from Russia? So are we slaves to West? Okay, chalo, forget about it. Is there any principled argument behind not buying oil from Russia?
Only argument being that it funds human rights, war crimes in Ukraine.
Okay. Apart from that, second thing, who is supporting? Let's say, for example, who is supporting Ukraine? The West, right? Who is giving money, weapons to Ukraine? If the West is so sincere about stopping the war in Ukraine, if it is bothered about human rights in Ukraine, the first thing it should do is come to the negotiating table, right? The West has, Zelensky has time and again repeatedly said, I won't be discussing with the present premier. So they are willing to even change Putin. Okay, and second thing, we are buying oil from Russia because it is cheap. That's the only logic. And we never said, we support human rights violation. Even today, India says one thing, I don't like what you are doing in Ukraine. Stop the war. Russia is not listening to us. Can we force Russia? No. If USA cannot force Russia to stop the war, what can India do? So pragmatic, real politic, right? So real politic. Again, West is converting the entire issue as Russia's fault. Definitely, do haath se tale, right? If Russia is to be blamed, 50% is to be blamed on West, not Ukraine. We have to blame the West also. West literally declared the date of attack of Ukraine. If you go back and look the history of Russia-Ukraine war, USA mentioned a statement saying Russia will attack Ukraine on this particular date. Okay, it has literally set a deadline. If Russia is not attacking Ukraine, Russia will look like a fool. So you indirectly provoked Russia, and before all these things are happening, USA literally sent missiles publicly to Ukraine. So what are you doing? You are provoking the war, right?
So when you said we are ready to $4 trillion mines just for the sake of values.
Again, if you read the next point, what did we say? We are willing to collaborate with China to explore the mines. I'm not saying that we should forego. Directly, we should not lose our principles, but indirectly, if I can get the minerals, I'm still happy. So I'm in the moral gray area, right? I'm still having that fig leaf. And remember, the ethics in international relations are not ethics of your daily life. You cannot apply dharma of personal life to dharma of international relations. The only dharma of international relations is national interest. That is why in your GS paper 4, there is a line, ethics in international relations. When you read the topic, one only thing you have to remember is national interest is paramount. You have to survive first, then follow principles. So the only dharma of ethics is survival. If Russian oil is going to survive or promote my national interest, I should do it. If I think like a human being, I will blame Russia. If I think like India, I will take Russia's help. So two different ethics. Okay, ethics of international relations is core is national interest. Is India's national interest being benefited?
Yes.
The discussion is ended, right? Like national interest. The first dharma of any country is national interest. Why is Russia doing that? National interest. Why is Ukraine doing that? National interest. USA is doing because national interest. So everybody have their own national interest. Clear? Yeah. Okay then. See you all tomorrow then.